Bonjour, bienvenue, hello and welcome to our next video lecture. This one's going to create a chart for us to use. So either you are going to want to take some time to copy down the chart onto your own paper and fill it in, or you'll notice on your assignment calendar that I put a link to one that you can print off if you can. Either one will work, it's just a matter of what you have available. And if you need to draw the chart yourself, I certainly encourage you to pause the video when we get to the chart and take some time to draw it out the way it is drawn. But let's start at the beginning. Déterminant. Déterminant are what we're talking about today. And before we can even get to using them, we need to know three special rules. And you see these rules on the screen in front of you. And what I need you to do is make sure you write down these three rules. First rule, every noun, every time. Every time we write a noun in the French language, there's got to be something in front of it. There are several types of déterminants. We're only going to start with one, so hey, you don't have to really think a lot for right now. But we are certainly going to be adding in more and learning about what makes each one special. But every time you write a noun, there's got to be a word in front of it. In English, we skip this a lot. But in French and many other Romance languages, Spanish, Italian, Portuguese, this is a required rule. There has to be a déterminant every time you use a noun, person, place, thing, or idea. Second rule is each déterminant is determined by the noun's gender and number. By number, we mean, are you talking about one, or are you talking about plural, or more than one? So when we look at a noun, in order to know which form of the déterminant we need to use, we have to know the gender of the word. And by gender, we're talking about something that doesn't exist in English. Every noun, every object, person, place, thing, idea in the French language has a gender associated with it, masculine or feminine. So when we talk about something being a masculine object, then that means we are just saying that it is a masculine thing, it is a male thing, or it is a masculine object. Same thing with feminine. A particular object could be feminine, female, or related to a feminine thing. The reason behind whether something is masculine or whether something is feminine, there's a lot of strange rules and guidelines that go behind it. I wish I had an easy to identify rule to teach you to help you know when something is masculine or when something is feminine, but I don't. Every time we learn a new noun, you just have to learn its gender. That is the smartest, fastest, and most effective way to know. And our last rule is, like I already mentioned, each déterminant is special. Each déterminant is special in that we're going to use it for different reasons. Since we're just starting, we're not really going to need to go into why we're using this déterminant. All you need to know is use it. So on your assignment for today, I'm going to ask you to send me a picture of this chart. This chart needs to include these three rules written somewhere on it. So please take a moment to make sure you've written them down if you haven't. Pause the video if you need some extra time. Okay, on y va. On this slide, you will see the chart. If you didn't have a chance to print off the chart that I provided on our assignment calendar, you will need to pause the video and draw this chart out. We'll take just a moment. Okay, so on this chart, you'll see 4 boxes, and then each box, there's 1, 2, 3, and 4 with a blank line. We are going to fill in those blank lines. It goes along with this chart you will see in the top corner. 1 for definite, 2 for indefinite, 3 for a and plus definite, and 4 for de indefinite. However, we are only going to concentrate on the number 2, the indefinite, for today. So when we talk about the indefinite, we are talking about 2 or maybe 3 specific words. We are talking about the word a, the word an, or the word some. Forgive my handwriting. So when we use this déterminant, you are using the word a, an, or some. In English, our rules are pretty finite about how we use them. In French, they might be a little more complicated, but they're just as simple as long as we practice. So for instance, all we have to do is start with a series of questions. If the noun we are using is plural, we use the determinant des. So you'll want to write des on the number 2 line of that first word. So when I ask myself, is the object I'm talking about plural? And the answer is yes, oui, then I'm going to use des. We're going to get to some examples so you'll see exactly how we use this. Right now we're just going to fill in the chart. So then let's look at the number 2. So if I ask myself, is this object plural? And my answer is no, then I go to the second question. Does my noun start with a vowel sound? Let's say it does. If it does, we are going to do this. Draw an arrow that automatically goes to the third question, because we don't care for this determinant if it starts with a vowel sound. The other 3, the 1, 3, and 4, will have something that matters. But for this particular determinant, we don't have to worry about it. So now we come to another noun, and we ask ourselves, is it plural? And we'll say no. Does the noun start with a vowel sound? We'll say no. Is it feminine? Looking at question number 3. And we're going to say yes. If your noun is feminine, we are going to use the determinant une. You've already seen this a few times in some of our other presentations that we've looked at this week. Une is what the determinant should be if your noun is singular and feminine. Lastly, what if it's not plural? Alright, second question, does it start with a vowel sound? We'll say no. And is it feminine? No. So if it's not feminine, it must be masculine. If it's a masculine object, we need to say un. Un, just un, like the word for one. So your filled in chart should look similar to this. And certainly make sure you have all of the boxes filled in for us to continue. Pause if you need some more time. Okay, so now we're going to look at some real examples so we can understand exactly how it works. So here you see 10 different nouns. And the question is, what determinant would you use? We're going to start with the top left, fille. Fille. So we ask ourselves first, is it plural? Fille. Just like in English, if the word ends with an S, it's quite possibly plural. So then since this fille, the first one, doesn't, we know it's singular. So we go to the second question on our chart. Does it start with a vowel sound? Fille starts with an F, so nope. We go on to our third question, is it feminine? Fille, because we've learned, is feminine. So when I need to say a girl, I will say une fille. We're going to go right underneath it to the next one. Bureau, for desk. So we need to say a desk. So we're going to do the exact same process. Is it plural? Nope. Does bureau start with a vowel sound? Nope. Is it feminine? Bureau, since it is not feminine, so it must be masculine. So to say a desk, we're going to say un bureau. Un bureau. Let's continue. Port. Is it plural? Nope. Does it start with a vowel sound? Nope. Is it feminine? Porte, the word for door, is indeed feminine. So will you use une or un? If you said une, then you are on the right track to understanding how to use this. Next we have ordinateur. Ordinateur, for computer. Is it plural? Nope. Does it start with a vowel sound? Yes. Ordinateur does indeed start with a vowel sound. But according to our chart, what does that make us do? We go straight to the third question anyways. Ordinateur, is it feminine? The answer is no. So we're going to use une or un. Un ordinateur. Un ordinateur. Next one, poster. Is it plural? Well, look at that. It ends with an S that typically tells us it's plural. So to say some posters, I need to use des. Des posters. Des posters means some posters. Notice, I'm not even pronouncing those S sounds, but because I'm saying des, I know it's plural. D poster. Let's continue. On to the next column. Fille. Fille. Is it plural? Yes. So what should we use? Une, un, or des? We should use des. Next one, prof. Is it plural? Nope. Does prof start with a vowel sound? Nope. Is it feminine? No. So what determinant should we use? Une, un, or des? Une, un, or des? We should use un prof. Next one, télé. I want you to figure this one out for yourself. Using those three questions, I want you to try to decide which one should it be. Is it going to be une, un, or des? It's certainly not plural. It doesn't start with a vowel sound. So you should be at the question, is it feminine? It is. So will it be une, un, or des? If you said une, then you understand how to use determinant. Next, carte, maps. Will it be une, un, or des? Hopefully you're brilliant and you said des. Descartes. Next is chaise. Will you use une, un, or des? Surely you notice it's not plural. It doesn't start with a vowel sound. It is feminine, so you will use une. If you got stuck on the un versus une because you don't know if a word is masculine or feminine, that is understandable. It takes a lot of practice to master whether words are masculine or feminine. When we learn new words, always learn what gender it is as well. This affects every noun we learn in the French language. It will become very helpful for you to master what gender it is, because that's going to affect several things that we're going to need later on. Now the question is, what if it's not there? So when it exists, we use the determinant. Il y a une fille. There is a girl. Il y a un prof. There is a teacher. Il y a des posters. There are some posters. Il y a un ordi. There is a computer. But what if it's not there? What if it doesn't exist? Notice what happens to the une in yellow and what it turns into in red. Il n'y a pas de. So that une turns into pas de when it doesn't exist. Il n'y a pas de filles. There are no girls, or there isn't a girl. Same thing with prof. Il n'y a pas de prof. There isn't a teacher. So un turns into pas de. Il n'y a pas de poster. There are no posters. Even though it's plural, we're just going to use de. Il n'y a pas de poster. And the last one, you notice there's a slight spelling change like we talked about in one of the previous videos. If you have a short word, D-E-M-E-L-E-J-E, and it's in front of a vowel, you use an apostrophe instead. Il n'y a pas d'ordi. There is no computer. So when it exists, make sure you use your determinant. When it doesn't exist, or when there's none of them, quantity of 0, that un, une, and des needs to become pas de. You'll be practicing some more with this as we go further on. So please feel free to review this video as many times as you need, or ask me any questions if you ever need help. A bientôt!